York.
Michael K. is on the radio today, and he ain't afraid to say what he's thinking. It's the Michael K. Show on 880 ESPN Radio.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us on this Thursday, November 13th. It's 2025, me and you for two. Those are the rules of engagement. It's the fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio, and I'm glad that you're spending it with me. You know the number to be the co-host, 1-800-919-3776. Thursday is always a big football day on the show as we get to talk with Dan Orlovsky and Chris Sims. Dan Orlovsky in the 1 o'clock hour, Chris Sims in the 2 o'clock hour. We do have an NFL game tonight, and it's the Jets against the Patriots in Foxborough. The Patriots have won 7 in a row. They are good against the run. The Jets have a quarterback that can throw. The Jets are bad against the run, and the Patriots have a running back, a young running back, that could actually gain yards from the line of scrimmage. So it's a big point spread. It's 13 points in favor of the Patriots. And you know what? In breaking it down, you could see exactly why. Anyway, we'll talk a lot about football today. So because of that, and because we have Orlovsky and Sims lined up, we'll talk about some of the things that are happening in the general managers meetings in Las Vegas. And I got to tell you one thing first to start off. I think everybody that's listened to me over the years on the show, they realize the amount of respect and admiration that I have for Scott Boras. I think he's unbelievable at what he does. Is he perfect? No, but no one is. But if I was a baseball player with a mind of my own, where I could push back against Scott leading me someplace for the last dime, I'd want Scott Boras. Because Scott Boras can create a market. He could get two teams to bid against each other and get the number up into a spot where people would say, there's no way we would ever pay that for anybody. You know what? They end up paying that. That's what Scott Boras does. But it's become a thing now at the GM meetings every year that Scott Boras opines on every single one of his free agent players. So you look at Tarek Skubal is not quite a free agent, but he will be after next season. You look at Cody Bellinger, all the guys he represents. The young pitcher out of Japan, Ite, he's represented by Scott Boras. So there's a lot of players, including Alex Bregman, who also is a Scott Boras client. And what Boras does every single GM meetings is he puts together, and Pete Alonso, I'm forgetting Pete, he puts together some corny, pun-filled, alliterative dissertation on each player. And frankly, I'm surprised. It makes him look childish. It makes him look almost pedestrian and desperate for publicity. That's not Scott. I don't know who told Scott this is a good idea. It's an awful look. It really, really reeks of desperation, which he shouldn't be desperate for any of these guys. He's got talent on his side. And for him, the way he talks about each and every one, as my daughter would tell me sometimes when I say things, Dad, cringe. And it's cringe. It is unbelievably cringe. I don't know why Scott does it. I'm tempted to pick up the phone and call him and go, what are you doing? I mean, it's almost like he's made himself a laughingstock. Every one of the writers that are there, they groan and like laugh at him. They're not laughing with him. This is a highly respected guy in the industry. And when he talks like that, it's just ridiculous. I'm not even gonna like load you up with the nonsense that he spews. But it doesn't represent him well because he's so great at what he does, and he doesn't need shtick. So he's resorting to shtick. Why would somebody that's great at what they do have to resort to shtick? Those that don't have greatness, they resort to shtick. That's all there is to it. Like if you're a talk show host and you don't have really impactful things to say, you resort to being a shock jock or a shtickmeister or whatever the case may be. You make up stuff. You don't care if it's true or not. Scott Boras doesn't need to do that. He's at the top of the hill. This stuff is nonsense. One of the guys he was talking about, and he kept referring to him, everything he said started with the letter P, so it was all alliterative. And that was Pete Alonso. So we'll move aside from Scott Boras puzzling me by the way he acts. And we'll talk about Pete Alonso and the market that's out there for him. People are writing about teams that might be interested in Pete Alonso. And one of the names of the teams that I keep seeing happens to be the New York Yankees. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no chance. There's never been a chance. And anybody that's writing that is trying to drive the market for Scott Boras and Pete Alonso. Why would the Yankees sign Pete Alonso? They got Ben Rice, cost control for at least another 4 years. Actually, 5. And they love him as a player. Now, he's not a good defensive first baseman, but guess what? Neither is Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is 31 years old. Ben Rice is in his mid-20s. And they have him cost controlled at a really low salary for a number of years. Why would the Yankees do that when they have other things they have to do, other things they have to attend to? The only thing that's attractive about Pete Alonso is that he's a right-handed batter and the Yankees are too left-handed. But just rest assured, Yankee fans, Pete Alonso is not going to sign with the Yankees. And if he does, I will say, you know what, I was wrong. But when you see the Yankees name as part of the group that would be interested in Pete Alonso, I don't believe there's any truth to it at all. I saw it last year, too. And they never, ever thought about signing Pete Alonso. Now, I read in the Post today where, there are some Yankee people that really like Alonso and are pushing for him, but others that don't. I'd like to know the people in the Yankee organization that are pushing for Alonso. I don't know if those people exist. I just don't see a match there. Now, you want to talk about the Red Sox? There's a match there. There's absolutely a match there. I don't think they're in love with Tristan Casas. And you put Pete Alonso at Fenway Park, you got a marriage made in heaven. He fits there. Doesn't fit with the Yankees in any way, shape, or form. Again, mark this down, Thursday, November 13th. So if he signs with the Yankees, call up, make fun of me, say you were wrong, you were dead wrong. Okay, I'll accept it. I don't think there's any chance. I don't think there's any interest whatsoever. But the big question is, and I want to hear from Met fans on this, do you really want to sign Pete Alonso to a 7-year deal? Now, one thing that Boras said, he did hint that Alonso would be willing to DH. He said he just wants to be on a winning team. Now, of course, that opens up the market because I don't think the Mets, who keep talking about run prevention, really want him to be at first base. But if you're going to sign him to a 7-year deal, that means that you're committed to keeping Juan Soto in right field for the next 7 years. He's a terrible right fielder now. Can you imagine what he's going to be in 7 years? And David Stern said, we believe that Juan Soto has a lot more to give defensively. Okay, we'll see. He's one of the great hitters that we'll ever see. He's never been a good outfielder. For some strange reason, the year that he was with the Yankees, he was actually in the top 3 finishers in Gold Glove. Ridiculous. I watched him every single day. Not a good outfielder. He's just not. And he's worse at Citi Field. He happens to be a stupendous hitter, and that's why you give him the money that you give him, not because he's Roberto Clemente in right field. Not a good right fielder. So you're going to lock him into right field for at least 7 years if you sign Pete Alonso? The only way I sign Pete Alonso if I'm with the Mets is if I could get him on a 3-year deal. And maybe I could push it to a 4th with an option year. Because then 3-4 years with him as the DH. Then Soto turns 30, 31. Then you could make him the DH for the remainder of his long contract. Now, it's easy to say, well, he's looking for 7 years. Before I was married, I was looking to, date Jennifer Aniston. I had no chance, but that's what I was looking to do. That's what I wanted to do. So Scott Boras is looking for a 7-year deal for Pete Alonso. Okay, let's see if he gets it. Let's see if he gets it. Remember, he was looking last year for a long-term deal, and he ended up signing essentially a 1-year deal with the Mets. So don't quite understand putting that out there that he's looking for a 7-year deal. Anybody who would give him a 7-year deal, well, you deserve what you get. Now, he's a very, very durable player. I get it. Plays every day. He's a great home run hitter, good run producer, a bad infielder. He's good at scoops, bad at throws, bad with ground balls. He's just not a good first baseman. That doesn't make him a bad guy, and Met fans love him. So I wonder, Met fans, I give Met fans credit because when they had that winter caravan or whatever at Citi Field and they were, hitting Steve Cohen with catcalls about signing Alonso, I think they moved the needle. And you all really like Pete Alonso, but do you want Pete Alonso back on a team that with Pete Alonso couldn't make the playoffs with a $340 million payroll? And they got so many other things that they have to do. They've got to improve their defense. They've got to get starting pitching. They've got to bring back Edwin Diaz. They've got to acquire a center fielder. All of those things. Right now, Tyrone Taylor is the center fielder. So I'd love to hear from Met fans. Is that a must-do for the Mets for you? Or do you want them to get back to the playoffs and be a little bit more creative? Because if they sign Pete Alonso to a 7-year deal, then I will tell you this. The marriage of David Stearns and Steve Cohen, it's on the rocks. There's no way David Stearns, the way he wants to put together a team, would ever sign Pete Alonso to a long-term deal. Because consider this, the Mets already have on their roster guys that are on long-term deals that they can't really move. Brandon Nimmo has a no-trade clause. He has 5 years left on his deal at $100 million. How are they going to move him? First of all, they got to get him to agree. And, he had a pretty good year last year, and he never gives a bad year. But he's a bad outfielder. He's become a bad outfielder. You got so many more years left on the contract of Francisco Lindor, and so many more years, obviously 14 more years left on the contract of Juan Soto. You think that David Stearns, the way he built the Milwaukee Brewers, wants to be saddled with those long-term deals that are unmovable? And the player, he keeps, again, run prevention. You think Francisco Lindor is going to be the shortstop he is defensively now in 5 years? But they're locked into him for a long time. And that's not Stearns' deal. He didn't sign that. He did sign the Soto deal, 14 more years of Soto, and he's only going to get worse defensively. I think he's going to age well as a hitter. He's that great. And then you got Nimmo. Those contracts don't go away. And if they do get Nimmo to agree to a trade, you know what? He's a guy that the Mets are going to have to eat a lot of that contract. A lot. They need pitching. They need better defense. They got to get back into the playoffs. And they need starting pitching and relief pitching. Now on to the Yanks. So Brian Cashman is missing his first GM meetings ever. He's got some personal issue, but he did meet with the media via a Zoom. And he said he's not looking for that high-end free agent starting pitcher. And I said this yesterday. That makes total sense. I understand exactly what he's doing because you are getting great pitchers back. You're getting back Cole. You're getting back Rodon. And by the end of the year, you'll get back Clark Schmidt. But you do have to patch it together while those guys are still not back. But you can't sell your soul. You can't go out and spend a lot of money on a free agent pitcher. You've already got 3 big money pitchers on your staff in Rodon, Fried, and Cole. You might have uncovered a diamond in the rough in Cam Schlittler. Will Warren gave you 33 starts last year of varying degrees of success, but he certainly didn't embarrass himself. He's only going to get better. Luis Heel is a big, big question mark. So they get to fill in and get some starts. So, but they're looking for, more of a middle-of-the-road starter that maybe could transition to the bullpen at some point when those guys come back. I don't think they're going to be diving into the deep end to try to get a starter. Now, if they could get the kid from Japan, I think that's something they would look into. 26 years old, but he's represented by Boras, and I don't know if you want to get involved in that. One thing that jumped out at me, though, was that Cashman revealed that Spencer Jones has asked if he could work out at Yankee Stadium during the winter, and then he's going to go down to Tampa early. And they're letting him work out at Yankee Stadium. And Spencer Jones had a pretty good year last year, but an awful lot of strikeouts. And that's something that the Yankees really want to shy away from, although the Yankees don't want to shy away from home runs. And Spencer Jones does hit home runs. And he talked glowingly about Spencer Jones, and he's going to have an opportunity to make the team, and spoke glowingly about Jason Dominguez. Well, my question would be, if these guys are that good, If you really like Spencer Jones that much, why would you risk anything by offering Trent Grisham a $22 million qualifying offer, which, again, I keep hearing, shockingly so, that he's going to turn down? Out of his mind. Out of his mind. No way, if he hits the free agent market, will he even approach that average annual value. So even if he signs a 3-year deal for for $45 million, you're not going to take 22 guaranteed for one? Because if there's a lockout, the second year of that deal is going to be 0. And if you believe in yourself and you believe that you're real, take the 22, build on it, go out and hit another 34 home runs, and you'll get a big-time contract. But the Yankees would have dodged a bullet if he turns down that qualifying offer. And again, that's what's out there. But my point is, they say they really want to sign Bellinger back, which I understand. I think that's a good move. But why wouldn't Spencer Jones be penciled in as one of your outfielders if you think that much of him? Same thing with Jason Dominguez. Because if Grisham turns down the qualifying offer and they don't sign him to a 3-year contract, which they'll still try to do if they like him that much, and you do sign Bellinger, then what do you have? You have Dominguez, no position, and you have Spencer Jones, no position. So they, in fact, become trade bait. But if you really thought that much of Spencer Jones, he's your center fielder next year. Because one thing we know about Spencer Jones, he runs like the wind. He's an outstanding defensive center fielder. But he strikes out an awful lot. And do they want to add more strikeouts to this team? Those are the questions they have. So that's some of the stuff that is coming out of the GM meetings. And still no signings, which I don't think there will be until maybe the beginning of December at the baseball winter meetings. Skeens and Skubal both won the Cy Young last year, or for last year, and the MVPs will be announced tonight. It's going to be Ohtani, I believe, in the National League. I believe it should be Judge in the American League. And for those that still say, well, Raleigh should be the guy, if you take a look at the numbers, I just don't know how you think that. Okay, so Judge beat Raleigh in batting average 331 to 247. On base percentage 457 to 359. Slugging 688 to 589. OPS 1.144 to 948. The one big number that Raleigh has over Judge, 60 home runs, Judge hit 53. So Raleigh was first in that, Judge second. RBIs, Raleigh had 125, that's first. Judge had 114, that's second. Runs scored, 137 for Judge, 110 for Raleigh. Raleigh beat him in stolen bases, 14 to 12. Baseball Reference WAR, Judge 9.7, Raleigh 7.4. And F-WAR, 9.1 Raleigh, 10.1 Judge. And F-WAR really accentuates the brilliance of Raleigh defensively, and he still loses to Judge. So Judge is first in average, first in on-base percentage, first in slugging, first in OPS, second home runs, second in ribbies, first in runs, first in B-WAR, first in F-WAR. Raleigh is 44th in batting average, 7th in on-base percentage, second in slugging, third in OPS, first in home runs, first in ribbies, second in runs scored, second in B-WAR, and second in F-WAR. How is Judge not the MVP? Please tell me, how is Judge not the MVP? I wait with bated breath to see how these votes come out tonight. And if it's Raleigh, I will be shocked. And that's not a knock on Raleigh. Everybody says, well, if you don't think he's the MVP, you're ripping him. No. He's unbelievable. I'd love to have him on the Yankees if I'm the Yankees. He's terrific. Catcher that hits 60 home runs, that catches as much as he does, and he's a great defender. Love to have him. The MVP, it's Judge. Now, you could say you take Raleigh off the Mariners, they wouldn't make the playoffs. Guess what? If you took Judge off the Yankees, they wouldn't make the playoffs. And there's proof positive of that. Because when he ran into the wall of Dodger Stadium, you know what? Yankees didn't make the playoffs, did they? Let's talk to you. 1-800-919-3776. Corrine in Manasquan. Start it off.
Hi, Michael. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing well also. So I basically just wanted to talk about this Pete Alonso thing. Now, I might have a little bias being that he's my favorite Mets player, but I'm still going to try and look at it from, an unbiased view. I feel like it wouldn't be good if they were to let him go. I feel like he means a lot to the franchise. I mean, he has the potential to be a forever Met, puts up great offensive numbers, though they weren't as good in 2024 as they were this year. But I think that there's opportunity for him to be a DH in the future, and I just think that letting him go might do a little more harm to the team and the fan base, though the fan base shouldn't matter. It would do some harm to the fan base, and I just don't know if it's worth it. Now, 7-year deal is a lot that he's seeking, and I don't think he would end up signing a 3-year deal, but I think that David Stearns and Steve Cohen, they have to just open their pockets, open their wallets a little more, and just maybe give him a little more.
Yeah, but okay, I hear every one of your points. I really do. Do you think it hurts the team, like the inside the clubhouse, if Pete Alonso leaves? Again, if you're running a team, you really can't be overly concerned with the fans' love of a player. You can't. No,
you definitely can't. I mean, I feel like from what I've seen and, just from on the outside perspective, it seems like he has good chemistry with all the guys in the clubhouse, and he is one of, he's kind of become one of the leaders there. So, it's difficult to say because we're not actually in the clubhouse with them, No,
I understand. I don't think, first of all, everything I've heard, and I don't cover the Mets, but I know people I do, he's a terrific guy. Everybody likes him a lot, but he's limited. He's limited as a fielder. He doesn't run the bases. He's very slow, so he clogs up the bases. What he does, he's a great home run hitter. And he's also very reliable. Very reliable. He plays every day, wants to play every day. But 7 years, I mean, if that's Scott Boras' opening salvo to the Mets, they'd have to say, thank you so much for your service. Do I want him back on a 3-year deal? I sure would. But I don't blame him. He's looking for the home run. I just don't think the home run is worth it for the Mets to do. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Let's go to Phil in Brooklyn. Phil.
Hey, Mike. 2 quick points. Number one, I definitely think the Tigers are going to trade Skubal. I don't think the Mets are going to be in on that because he's going to want like $300 million. I think they can get the trade done, but for 1 year, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, but, they need to get back into the playoffs, though, Phil. So the one thing that the Mets were missing last year, I thought, was this stud pitcher, the ace starter, which I guess Stearns doesn't seem like that important, although he's kind of backing off that a bit. And you're going to have to give Skubal a huge contract at the end of next year. He's not going to sign before the end of the year because that's not how Scott Boras does his job. But I think the Mets should empty out their farm system, get a Skubal, and they've got the money of of Cohen, to sign him to whatever contract he wants. I mean, they offered Yamamoto $325 million. Why wouldn't they offer a guy who's won 2 straight Cy Youngs that kind of money? He deserves it if he's healthy. Let's go to Johnny in Orlando. Johnny.
Oh.
Hey, John.
How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm still alive. Thank you for asking. There's a question for you about Grisham. A different perspective, and I like to mention. I like to make a second point about the Yankees and the Dodgers comparison lately. But with Grisham, I think the last 2 years, the Yankees have paid him $5 million each year, right? And if he accepts the qualifying offer, it'll be 3 years at 32, which I think is about market value if he signs today. If he refuses the QO and does that, I think so. I think that's fair. I mean, if you get Grisham for 3 years for $32 million.
But Johnny, you can't run a business that way. You can't pay for what you've already paid. First of all, the first year with the Yankees, he didn't do well. He didn't get an at-bat in the postseason when they went to the World Series.
Right, but that was because they had Soto, and of course that's an easy decision to make.
But they also it's not an easy decision because they also had Verdugo, so they rather run Verdugo out there who couldn't hit the side of a barn. He couldn't fall out of a boat and hit the water during the postseason, and they kept Verdugo rather than play Grisham. So he gave them nothing the first year, but to say it's worth it, why don't they give him $40 million this year? Just to average it out. It doesn't make sense. You don't pay for past performance. You got to pay for what the guy's going to do for you this year. Do you believe he's a $22 million player? And frankly, I don't believe he's a $22 million player. Maybe the Yankees do. But again, everything that we're hearing is that it looks like he's going to turn it down, which befuddles me. Befuddles me. I hope he's getting good advice. I really do. He's a good guy. A good guy, had a great year, 34 home runs. He's slowing down a little bit in the outfield. Maybe that was because he played with a bad hamstring for most of the year. But that is so fraught with peril, offering him a $22 million qualifying offer. Because if he takes it, that's $22 million on the payroll that you're not going to be able to spend somewhere else. That's exactly what it is. That's what it comes down to. I mean, they must really value that 4th-round pick to take this chance. Or maybe they know that he's going to turn it down. And if he turns it down, it's foolish on his part because now he's saddled with the fact that the team that signs him has to give up a draft pick. And I think that hurt Pete Alonso last year. And Pete Alonso is a much better player than Trent Grisham. And it hurt him and really narrowed his options. It did. And I think it's going to narrow the options of anybody that has that qualifying offer. That's why a team puts it on you. But for the Yankees, because they've been over the cap as much, or the tax as much as they have been, one of the penalties is that when you get a draft pick back, when somebody signs one of your free agents, it's not as good. It's not at the end of the 1st round. It's at the end of the 4th round. I just don't think it's worth a $22 million gamble. But the Yankees are smarter than me, and we'll see how it plays out. Dan Orlovsky is going to join us in just a moment. We have the Jets and the Patriots tonight, so we'll break down that. I know that Dan is really high on Drake May, and obviously we have to ask him about the Giants coaching change as well. It's the K Show. We're rolling until 3 today on a Thursday, right here on ESPN New York.
At PC Richard & Son, we don't just sell you appliances. We show you what they can do and how the features work. Because service isn't just selling appliances, it's making sure they work for you. Get Black Friday deals on top brand appliances, now up to 40% off, plus up to $1,000 in additional savings on qualifying purchases. Great service, great savings, plus free delivery. It's kind of our thing. PC Richard & Son. Service. It has a sound. Free delivery excludes Manhattan.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Mornings with DiPietro and Rothenberg.
Jordan Renan, names. Kafka, is this real? Like, if he does well, he could keep the job?
Definitely think that's real. I mean, Kafka has an opportunity here to show that he's a head coach. Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator for the Chargers, is someone that I would watch really closely. Antonio Pierce is someone I would expect to be involved in this mix here. To me, it's not about offensive mind, defensive mind. It should be about, we need to find the best leader for the team.
DiPietro and Rothenberg, morning 6 to 10 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
New York Lottery's holiday scratch-off games are the perfect gift for everyone on your list.
Like me, your Aunt Jules. I told you I didn't need a gift this year, but I secretly really want one.
Or me, your neighbor Frank. I hope you didn't forget I'm coming to your holiday party tonight.
Or me. Why does no one ever think of the voiceover guy? Anyway, New York Lottery's holiday scratch-off games have more winners and top prizes up to $5,000. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Empower. Jen has ordered a decadent seafood tower, king crab legs, lobster tails, and a waterfall of caviar. Pricey? You bet. But Jen worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy and planned for splurges like these. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Ooh, champagne. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisory Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. OMG, those shrimps are really jumbo.
Paying extra for tire care is BS. You know, bad service. So at Midas, we're rolling out our BS-free tire guarantee, included with paid installation and tax on every purchase. You'll pay nothing for flat replacements, nada for flat repairs, and zilch for tire rotations every 5,000 miles. That's $0 for all that. So with this limited lifetime tire guarantee, you'll pay a whole lot of nothing compared to what the other guys charge for tire care. That's the BS-free tire guarantee, only at Midas.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're on until 3 o'clock. At that time, Don Hahn and Rosenberg on this Thursday in New York City. And at this time, every Thursday, we get an opportunity to talk to our friend Dan Orlovsky, talk some football with him. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, bud. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. We have not spoken to you since the Giants fired Daboll. Do you think that was the move that had to be made?
No, I don't. I think that's a mistake. Now, it doesn't mean that the next person they hire won't be a good coach, but I just think that, one, Brian Daboll's proven to be a good coach, and a lot of people are going to go look at his record, Dan, in the fourth quarter losses or whatnot. It's hard to win games without good players, and the Giants just haven't had a lot of good players. And then people are going to say, well, look at Daniel Jones in Indy and what he's done in comparison to New York. Well, one, up until this year, Brian Daboll had coached Daniel Jones to be the best he's ever been. And then two, Indy has a very different offense and very different personnel grouping and support group around the quarterback than New York has. And then the fourth quarter losses this year or whatnot, or the blown 10-point-plus leads, I mean, I would also sit there and say he's also the coach that got those leads, and you would hope one of those defensive, highly paid or draft-picked linemen made a play, and they found a way to win a couple of those games. And so I think he's a good coach. I think he's been proven to be able to handle that market, which is a very real thing, and obviously had a lot of success with the quarterback play.
You know, you mentioned one thing in the answer that I want to piggyback on, and I agree with you. You know, he doesn't have that much talent, and that's what befuddles me. Okay, you got rid of the coach, but it looks like you're signing up for more of Joe Shane. And I mean, if you look at the 4 drafts that Joe's had, I don't think, you know, Malik Neighbors, I could have made that pick, Dan. So I'm wondering, you know, once the injury started to happen with the Giants, they had nothing on the second level. They had no talent on the second level. I don't think this team is ultra talented.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I think, you know, going back to the start of the season, that was always the rub or the concern in specific to getting Jackson on the field. It was, I understand it's not a great situation from the Daboll perspective. Can we get Russell Wilson to play decent enough that we can somewhat stay competitive, where we can win some of these games and not have to rush the quarterback on the field? Because once the rookie quarterback gets rushed on the field, it's, hey, we got to try to win to save jobs, and I understand that. And, yeah, it's just it's not an overly talented group, and that's where I sit there and I go, well, you know, I don't think a ton of quarterbacks would be playing great, and I just don't think it's hard to win games when you're constantly going into a game devoid of the necessary talent to, like, feel that you're at a level playing field. And so Joe's had, I think, some good picks. But I don't know if there's been this blown away retooling of the roster.
So the big question that most fans have, and I have as well, I want to throw it toward you, getting rid of Daboll, who seemed like he had a great relationship with Dart, does that slow down Dart's progression?
It doesn't have to. That answer doesn't have to be yes. That gives me reservation and hesitation, absolutely. But that's a challenging question to answer when we don't know who the next person is. You know, the next person could be this really good, bright offensive mind that is great with quarterback development. This next person could be a really good head coach that brings a fantastic offensive coordinator and coach and quarterback coach with them. So, but it gives me, you know, concern and reservation, because the reality is we'll be going into year 2 with Jackson Dart, and it's going to be that, you know, same old NFL story of it's really year 1 and it's really the rookie year. And so, you know, it's a little bit of unknown, but it doesn't mean, I mean, look at what's happening in Chicago with Caleb right now. Caleb has taken progressive steps. It's year 2. It's the second system he's in his NFL career, but it's definitely promising.
Do you believe that Daboll and, in turn, Kafka unnecessarily put Dart in harm's way by having him design runs as much as they did? And he obviously has no fear and doesn't really protect himself that well, so he's out with a concussion this week. Did they do the wrong thing with him that way?
Yeah, of course they did, but I also understand it. You know, I mean, you're trying to win, and when you get this quarterback that's ultra talented and competitive, and there's not a lot going around him that you can trust to be a impactful play and or player, I understand that you're going to lean on that at times. I also would tell you that some of that was on Jackson with some of the style that he played, some of the playmaking that he thrives to go make. And so, yes, I don't think it's a malicious intent. I think it's a competitive intent, and I don't fault those guys for it. He's not my kid. It's not my career. So the answer is yes, but I understand the reasoning why.
Did they make the right decision going with Winston for this Sunday?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No questions asked. Yeah, it's the Russell is, had a Hall of Fame-like career and tremendous player and person in the community. That ship has sailed, and Jameis is younger, and I think there's no debate gives you a better chance.
Is this a coveted job, you think? It's still New York. It's one of 32, and it looks like you have a quarterback that could be the future for your team. Will people want this job, Dan?
If you look at the quarterback, you say yes. If you look at the receiver, you say yes. If you look at some of the young defensive talent, specifically on the defensive line, you say yes. If you look at the way they've handled their coaches in the last decade, the answer is no. If you look at some of the uncertainty at the general manager position, you say no, because you don't know what the future is going to be with Joe Schoen. And so, I think, there's going to be people that are interested in it from the, finding the positives perspective, but I do believe even those people are going to want some answers of, okay, what is my actual security here? Where is the patience level and security here? And then what's the plan at general manager? Are we long for Joe Schoen? Is he here kind of no matter what? Are we moving on from Joe Schoen? Do we want to move on from Joe? Is there a plan to, maybe have a different person in that role? I've seen that floated out as a rumor. And so that he's not necessarily a lock to remain into that role in the future. So I think those are questions that are going to give people trepidation.
Is there a world where it makes sense to place a call on North Carolina about Bill Belichick for the Giant job?
Yeah, Michael, I say no. I say no, and that's with the utmost admiration and respect for Coach Belichick. Coach Belichick, these aren't opinions, these are facts, hasn't won in 5 years. Mm-hmm. And, if you're the people that want to sit here and say to me, well, look at how Daniel Jones is playing without Brian Daboll, I'm going to be that person who goes, well, look at what Mike Vrabel's doing in New England immediately. So the reality is a lot of those players that Coach Belichick had brought onto that team, by the time of 2021, a lot of those guys are gone from New England, and all of a sudden New England's winning at a high clip right now. And so that would, again, I'm not trying to be a disrespectful a-hole here. With all due respect to Coach Belichick, if I were the Giants, there would just be other people that I would have higher on my list.
Is there somebody on the Dan Orlovsky list, if you were the GM hiring this coach, that you would say, this is a guy that's good for this job?
Yeah, I think there's 3 names that immediately have popped to my mind. Obviously, I was outspoken. I think Kevin Stefanski, and paying attention to what happens in Cleveland. I think he's a very good coach. I think he's proven when he has competent quarterback play, he's winning 10-plus games. He's been through it. He's hardened to failure because of the way that the roster is just shaken out there. I think the second name, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but I would entertain Ryan Day. Ryan Day's had tremendous success at Ohio State. He's got NFL pedigree. I think he's a fantastic leader of men, obviously a very good coach. And then Jesse Minter, who was the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, who's been around football for a very long time and very impressive when you talk to him.
Would it be a mistake, though, Dan, to bring in a defensive guy? Does the defensive guy hurt the progress? Did Robert Saleh hurt the progress of their quarterbacks when he was with the Jets? Does a defensive guy hurt the offense?
It's always dependent upon who the offensive coordinator is. It's who does he bring on the offensive coordinator and staff. If it's a defensive guy and they're bringing a first-time offensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator that maybe has a past that doesn't have a ton of success, or a younger guy that isn't necessarily proven, I get very cautious of that. But if it's a defensive guy that's bringing a really, really successful offensive coordinator that's been around, he's had success, he's bringing the right people, staff-wise development, then I don't think that's an issue.
All right, so we have the Jets and the Patriots tonight. Can you, and you're always compelling when you speak, that's why I love having you on, can you make a compelling case that the Jets could win this game?
Yeah, no question. I think, one, the Patriots haven't blown people out this year. They've been in situational football very good. Kayshon Boutte, the big play receiver for them, isn't playing. So, you can try to have some success from the defensive perspective of, not giving up big plays, which is, again, Boutte's been the specialty of that. And then, Drake May has been, sensational, but last week he had a bad decision and threw a pick. The week before he had a bad decision and threw a pick. So that could be a thing. And then defensively, here's the challenge. This is a defense in New England that is outstanding setting the edge and against the run. So I think trying to run against this defense is good luck. You have to throw the ball against this defense, and you have to throw the ball horizontally against this defense. Both corners are playing at a high level. You got to get guys running away from them rather than running vertically down the field against them. They're just too good. Low scoring is the way for the Jets. You got to find a way to take a turnover and turn it into points, get a fourth down conversion. I don't think it's likely, but there's a way, yes.
If you were the coach, if you were Aaron Glenn, first of all, you'd be rude to me. Second of all, would you start Taylor?
Man, that's, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have said no brainer, but obviously they've had some success since then, and it would be hard to take Justin off the field. But I think I would start Justin just because some of the recent. Listen, they weren't great last week either, but they found ways with special teams to win the game. But it wouldn't be a long leash. I would probably start Justin, but it would be a short leash.
Well, enjoy the game tonight. Have a great weekend, and I thank you as always to come on.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, that's Dan Orlovsky, so good stuff from him. We'll talk more about the Jets-Patriots with Chris Sims as well when he joins us in the 2 o'clock hour. Hey, Game Time is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. We've got the Jets and the Patriots. That'll be on Amazon tonight, so you could tune in for that. 10 p.m., Islanders are in Vegas to play the Golden Knights. So it's a short schedule. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew. Try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. We'll come back with more 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. We roll until 3 o'clock right here on the K Show on ESPN New York.
Join one of the nation's top sports betting analysts, Joe Wiz, as he breaks down all the games in football on the Fine Line. Saturday at 8 a.m. Oklahoma travels to Alabama, and Texas takes on Georgia. Plus, hockey, NBA, and UFC from the Garden. The Wiz has you covered. Sunday in the NFL, huge matchups as Tampa takes on Buffalo, and Kansas City faces a must-win in Denver. Follow the Wiz on Instagram at Joe Wiz Sports. It's the best bet in town. And tune into the Fine Line with the Wiz Saturday at 8 a.m. Be ready to win.
Listen up, football. Never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in New Jersey. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
D'Agostino & Associates is a legacy firm, and I'm proud to be a part of that legacy. I'm Jenna D'Agostino, and like my father, I fight to get justice for the injured.
The hustle and grit of these streets shaped me. I'm John D'Agostino, and from the concrete to the courtroom, I built this injury firm 35 years ago to get accident victims justice. So call my team first, 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222.
You want justice? Think Jenna D'Agostino. Think D'Agostino & Associates. Justice isn't just a word. For us, it's a way of life. It's having compassion for your struggle and getting you paid for your pain. Now that's justice. D'Agostino & Associates means being there for the injured.
Seriously injured? Call my team first at 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222. D'Agostino & Associates has offices throughout New York and New Jersey and will come to you. I've been there, and I'll be there for you.
D'Agostino, Law, Bite Back.
Rich Eisen here for Sonos, the speakers that bring every game to life in my own house. With studio quality sound, Sonos makes you feel like you're right there in the stadium. Whether you're cheering on your team, binging your favorite show, or listening to the hottest songs, Sonos fills every room with incredible sound. Setup is easy. Just plug in, open the Sonos app, and you're ready to go. Want stadium quality sound at home just like me? Because I love Sonos. You will too. Explore soundbars, speakers, and more at Sonos.com. Sonos. They look as good as they sound.
The post-crib assembly press conference, brought to you by Progressive.
Michael, you had some trouble putting the crib together today. What went wrong?
You know, those instructions can be tough, and, well, you saw the outcome.
Were you upset when your wife pulled you and called in the backup?
No, I mean, the baby needs a crib to sleep in, so whatever it takes.
You've got a changing table to put together next. It's got a lot of drawers. What's your comment?
You know what? We're done here.
Like it or not, sometimes you need a backup. That's why there's Progressive to protect your home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
You live for this. The wins, the losses, the slam dunks, and the buzzer beaters. The dream that this is your team's year. Hope. It's what keeps you coming back. So you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when everything's on the line, your support means everything. That's why the NBA Store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Welcome back to the show. I'd like to take a moment to note the passing of a lion of the newspaper industry, and that's Larry Brooks. Larry Brooks was a Hockey Hall of Famer. He had such a distinguished career covering the sport that he loved, and he did it with ethics and grace and outstanding writing, and really was the go-to guy for all things hockey. I mean, there are many tributes that have been penned by people. Mike Vaccaro has a wonderful tribute that's been posted online by The Post, and Molly Walker, who covers the Rangers and worked closely with Larry Brooks, also has a wonderful tribute as well. I think people that listen to this show know that I'm not a hockey aficionado. I have never loved the sport like my friend Don LaGreca did. But obviously I keep track of it because of the job that I have. But before I became a talk show host, there wasn't that much attention paid to hockey by me because I didn't have to talk about it at a level that seemed somewhat informed. But I will tell you this, Larry Brooks was so good at what he did that anytime I saw his byline, I read that story. I read that column. You know, his Sunday Notes column, to me, was a must-read. And that, to me, is a testament to what he was as a journalist and a writer. Because if you write well and you know the subject well, then you can make something interesting to someone who doesn't find that topic interesting. And that's what Larry Brooks did. He was that good. And the thing that jumps out at you when you read all the tributes on social media is that people that played the game had the utmost respect for Larry Brooks. And I think it came out in his writings that the people he wrote about didn't look down upon him as most athletes do toward the people that cover the sport. You know, the old canard, well, you never played the game. But Larry Brooks had that respect. People as varied as Sean Avery singing the praises of Larry Brooks all the way to Wayne Gretzky, who said people in the league read what he wrote because they knew it wasn't BS, that it was real. And really, he was an amazing reporter who had unbelievable sources and actually took a 10-year detour from his writing career at the Post and became the vice president of communications of the Devils, and then came back to the Post. And in 2018, he was put into the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he deserved it, richly deserved it. and he's taken far too soon. I got a little nervous a while ago when they said, well, he stepped away to deal with health issues. That's never a good sign. And he certainly battled. He was in contact with Don and, people around the league checking in with him all the time. And a testament to what he's about. He had kind of a frosty, contentious relationship with John Tortorella. Didn't seem like he was that much in tune with the way Tortorella did his job. But you read stories today that, in the last couple of weeks, Tortorella reached out and they spoke. And that they had developed a pretty good relationship. And to show you what type of a journalist he was, he, when it wasn't hockey season, the Post would actually assign him to baseball games. So I'd see him around Yankee Stadium. And, he worked the room. He was the consummate reporter. The small reporter's notebook in his back pocket, looking for the story. And, I'd pick up the paper the next day, and he'd have a column or a story about that night's game that was as good as anybody that covers the team on a daily basis. That's the mark of greatness in our business. He could cover anything because the great reporters, let's say one of the great reporters to me is Joel Sherman, who covers baseball for the Post. If you put Joel Sherman on the White House beat, I'd make sure to read that story every single day because he's relentless. He's always in search of the truth. The great ones can do that. You could put them on a sport they don't know anything about, but Larry did know about baseball a lot. He loved baseball. You could put them in any sport, and their greatness will shine through. Because the basic premise of being a great writer and a great journalist is that it doesn't matter the topic, you're going to dig down and find the truth. You try to find the truth, and you'll talk to the people that will tell you the truth. So rest in peace to Larry Brooks, one of the lions of our industry. I don't know if that's a void that will ever be filled. I don't know if there's anybody out there that will write with such authority on the sport of hockey. There are many really good ones out there. And, someone that mentored, that was a mentee for Larry was Molly Walker, and she does a great job covering the Rangers. And she learned from Larry Brooks. So taken far too soon by this insidious disease of cancer. He has a grandson that he loved watching play hockey. He was supposedly a very good hockey player. So maybe one day Larry Brooks' grandson will end up being a star in the sport that Larry Brooks did such honor to. So rest in peace to Larry Brooks. He will be missed. It's just an awful loss for the newspaper industry, who can ill afford to lose people of that talent and integrity. But today we absorb that loss, and we send out our condolences to those that loved him and his family and his friends. 1-800-919-3776. The Knicks with a loss last night, snapping their winning streak at 5 straight. They lose 124-107, and they didn't play well. And they played against a team, the Orlando Magic, that's really good defensively and had the Knicks figured out. The Knicks are, they're wedded to shooting an abundance of threes. An abundance of threes. And the Magic figured out how to defend it. And more than the loss, the thing that jumps out at you is that they lost Jalen Brunson with under 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Knicks were down by 16. Brunson was still in there, and he turned his right ankle. And about 45 minutes after the game ended, he left Madison Square Garden with a walking boot and on crutches. So the Knicks have to cross their fingers and hope that this is not a long-term injury, but ankles, point guards, it's never good. Again, we don't know the severity of it, but again, he did leave the arena with a walking boot and crutches. Not a good game for Josh Hart. He was on the bench for most of the fourth quarter. Now, a pretty good test for the Knicks against the Miami Heat team. They're going to play home and home. So Friday at the Garden ends their long homestand, and then Monday it'll be in Miami. So we'll see exactly how that goes. But The Knicks lose a tough one yesterday, 124-107. Not going to win every single game. But we had on James Edwards III, who covers the Knicks for The Athletic, and he mentioned, wins are wins, but they didn't exactly win against the cream of the crop in the NBA. One of those 5 wins was against the Nets, who were just terrible. I mean, there's nothing good that you could say about the Net team. I don't even know what they're doing and what they've put together. And it must be frustrating the heck out of Jordy Fernandez, but, some of those wins weren't against the best. And they were at home, and the Knicks should win those games. So the Orlando Magic, not at the level that people thought they'd be this year, but there's talent there, good defense as well, and they countered the Knicks and beat them pretty soundly. Now we'll see what they do against a very, very good Miami Heat team. Miami's better than people thought. Pat Riley knows what he's doing. Eric Spoelstra is just an exceptional coach. He can be the USA coach in the upcoming Olympics. He's one of the best, and he's getting the most out of them. So that's a nice test for the Knicks, and we'll see how much we read into that test if, in fact, Brunson's out. If Brunson's out, I guess we can't look at it as any kind of litmus test, but if Brunson plays, well, we'll see. All right, let's take a phone call or two before we head into break, and let's go to Andrew in Medford. Andrew.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Andrew.
Hey, Michael, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I was listening to you talking to Dan before, too, on here, and as far as qualified candidates for, a coach for the Giants, I think they don't want to go the Belichick route because he's old and he brings a lot of stuff with him with that 24-year-old girl he's seeing and stuff. Not good business, but the head coach Freeman from the Notre Dame, his name's been coming up, I notice, a lot lately, and he has like a lifetime job with Notre Dame. That's how good he's been doing there.
Yep.
And Tim McDonald, the personnel player for the Giants, has tie-ins with Notre Dame. He worked there for 8 years. And, of course, McDonald is the nephew of John Mara. So I know they're looking for sometimes some families connected, but this one's family-oriented as well. And you want to pass on the defensive coordinators, like I understand what you were saying before, because you want an offensive guy to work with Dart and everything. So Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, he has tie-ins, obviously, with the Shanahan family. And, of course, his father coach, Gary Kubiak. And then he worked with Kyle Shanahan as the passing game coordinator also. He's 38, and he could be the next star, I think, out of that family.
Well, if I was looking, Andrew, for an offensive mind, what I would do is I would look for a mind that comes out of the system of Shanahan, McVay, Reed. Because those guys are the top of the top when it comes to offense. That's the kind of young guy. I'm not sure if this is the job right now for a neophyte, and that's why I'm a little bit wary about Freeman, who's done a great job at Notre Dame, but do we know what kind of head coach he would be at this level? Again, you'd be taking a chance. He could end up being great, right? Could end up being unbelievably great. But I don't think that you can hire this next coach with hopes and wishes. Gee, I think he's going to be. You better know that you're acing this. They... By virtue of the fact that guys haven't succeeded, they've whiffed on 4 straight coaches since letting go of Coughlin, forcing Coughlin out. They've whiffed on 4 straight. Shermer, who was just demoted as the offensive coordinator on a bad Colorado team by Deion Sanders, McAdoo, Judge, and Daboll. You can't go 0 for 5. At some point, you have to hit the right guy. And maybe what they're looking for is wrong. And it shows because those people haven't lasted. 1-800-919-3776. I'm going to come back with Chris Sims. Always love talking with him. Big 2 o'clock hour coming up. But first I want to tell you about every NFL Thursday. There's your chance to hit the jackpot on FanDuel. Because with FanDuel's Thursday touchdown jackpot, you can win a share of $2 million in bonus bets each week. To get in on tonight's action, all you have to do is place an anytime touchdown scorer bet before the game kicks off. And if your player scores the first or last TD of the game, you'll win your bet plus a share of bonus bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/K to take a shot at the jackpot. That's FanDuel.com/K for your chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Opt-in required. Must apply. Profit boost token on select market. Prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct first or last TD pick. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 21 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with the gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
880 ESPN, WHSQ, and WCBS-FM HD2, New York. A Good Karma Brands radio station. Thursday with Don Hahn and Rosenberg. How concerning is Jalen Brunson's injury?
I think he turned his right ankle. Yeah, he turned his right ankle, but that's all I know.
And the Knicks lost to the Magic last night.
First of all, you got to give them credit. Jamal Mosley and the rest of the Orlando Magic, they kicked our ass. It's as simple as that. They came out with a physical presence that we didn't handle well.
Don Hahn and Rosenberg today at 3 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
To help those who want to be helped, but may not be able to afford it.
That's what PGA Tour winner Grayson Murray had envisioned for a foundation before he sadly took his own life at just 30 years old. His parents channeled their grief into creating the Grayson Murray Foundation, carrying out his vision to help those struggling with mental health and addiction. To donate and learn more, visit GraysonMurrayFoundation.com.
The Hess truck's back and it's better than ever. Roaring engines this year. Hess race cars are here.
The Hess stock car racers are loaded with lights, sounds, and a powerful racing motor. Only at HessToyTruck.com. Free shipping and batteries included.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. That's ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN.
Harry Douglas here. Fellas, it's time to step up your grooming game. Manscaped just leveled up with the Lawnmower 5 and the Chairman Plus, 2 powerhouses built for unmatched precision, comfort, and control. Whether you're cleaning up before a night out, preparing for a big meeting, or getting ready for a game day, Manscaped has the tools to help you look and feel your absolute best. These aren't just old school clippers. They're engineered for modern men who take pride in their daily routine. So upgrade your grooming gear and experience the difference. And now you can find Manscaped products at your local Walmart.
Are you ready to unleash the beast?
Monster Energy is here to give you the edge this college tailgate season. Loaded with bold flavors, our powerful blend gives you the energy you need to push you beyond your limits. Tune in all season long with Monster, the energy drink of ESPN Radio College Football Tour. Power your performance with a drink that's as hungry for victory as you are. Crack open an ice-cold Monster and dominate your competition. Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Grab yours today.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. 203 in New York City, the Michael K. Show from 1 to 3 every Monday through Friday. And every Thursday at this time, we get a chance to talk to NBC's Chris Sims. Love talking with him, and he joins us now. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, man. What's up, Michael? How are you?
I'm doing well. I guess I'm doing better than Brian Daboll. What was your take on the Giants finally saying enough with Daboll?
Well, I mean, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't sure if they were actually going to pull the trigger and go through with it, but, certainly thought that was, and I go on with, Mike Florio and Pro Football Talk Monday morning, and we were both during that show like, we're going to have our antennas up here for the Giants and Brian Daboll, because I think we know enough people in the NFL and the Giants, of course, that you felt that could be a possibility. Now, I like Daboll a lot. Of course, I feel like this was an inevitable. I think the only thing I question, and I think where I questioned whether they would fire him, is just, hey, there's no denying Jackson Dart's been on an upward trajectory here. I just thought maybe they'd let him finish the year with Daboll, who obviously picked him, and just let the growth continue. And then, okay, we make the change after the year. So, I was, I guess, a little surprised, Michael, but not shocked.
All right, so you weren't surprised or shocked. You were surprised but not shocked, but do you think it was warranted? Do you think he did a bad job as the coach of the Giants? I know Bill Parcells said you are what your record says you are in the last 3 years, 11-33, but do you think he did a bad job as the coach?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do a good enough job to keep his job, right? I think that's the bottom line. There's no doubt about that. We know it. I mean, gosh, I worked with Daboll in New England. We have a friendship. I think he would agree with that. Yeah, it didn't go well enough. At the end of the day, yeah, you got to win some football games. Got to win a few football games you're not supposed to win, right? Got to win the games you are supposed to win. And I think neither one of those were happening. And I think ultimately that, leads to the change, and we'll see what happens from here.
All right, so here's the question. They're 2-8. They could be 5-5, but everybody, if we're being honest, said at the beginning of the year, the Giants are going to have another bad year because the schedule was awful. It was really, really rough. So I ask you this, Chris. Did he leave wins on the table? Because, you could say they went into the fourth quarter, 90% chance to win in 3 of those games, but those first 3 quarters also, they're under his watch too. So what exactly did he do wrong? Did he have enough talent to win, I guess is the question.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, that's debatable. I get that. And not everything's him, right? I mean, we've talked about defensive issues certainly at times, right? The draft picks that didn't necessarily work out, guys that he was left with from the old regime that he had to make it work. But I don't think, you go into it. I think you could certainly blame him from some situational football, whether you want to get into the Cowboys game and that shootout and some of the things that went on there, right? The carelessness with the ball. You outplayed the New Orleans Saints, and, hey, we're just going to turn the ball over. Again, those are things that go back to the head coach. The Broncos game, yes, right? And then really not even showing up in a capacity where you felt like the game was ever really competitive against the Eagles or the 49ers. And then you go to Chicago, where, yes, they're 6-3, but Chicago's not really playing elite football on either side of the ball. Their offense is still a work in progress. They're still relying on Caleb to make plays. He's not totally comfortable in that offense. The defense stinks. You're on the precipice of going up 24-7. Then Jackson Dart fumbles, and we can't find a way to win the football game. Yes, all those things, again, culturally, as people might say, and all that go back to the head coach and his ability to manage the game and get the players to finish a full football game, and that just wasn't going on.
Do we blame Daboll or do we blame Dart for, the running with impunity? Now, I blame Daboll because a lot of those were called runs, but I blame Dart for not protecting himself better. Who deserves the lion's share of the blame there?
Yeah, I think you're right, though, in both a little bit. But again, I'll go into I'm going to blame Daboll. I am. Again, that's the way it is in the NFL. Everybody knows that. That's been in the locker room. You've been around enough to know. I mean, there's no sport where the coach counts more on a weekly basis, a daily basis, than the NFL. Like, New England never turned the ball over, right? And then I go and play for Josh McDaniels and work for New England, and I go, oh, my gosh, this is so annoying. Is every day we're going to do ball control drills to start the day? Like every day? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that actually works. Okay, that's no wonder New England never fumbles or turns the ball over, because it's talked about and abused and banged into your brain day after day after day. And, yeah, I think that message wasn't getting through to Jackson Dart. He doesn't realize the greatest ability is availability. He's got to tone it down. He's not going to last if he continues to play this way. And I respect it. I get it. Trust me, you're talking about Mr. Dumb Meathead here who stood in the pocket and thought he was indestructible until he lost an organ and then had to learn the hard way and losing my spleen. But with him, it's, yes, the coaching and the message there has to be strong, and he didn't feel like that was really getting through to Jackson Dart.
Chris, what do you think happened with Russell Wilson? I mean, he wasn't great last year with the Steelers, but he was not as bad as he's shown. Other than the Dallas game, he's been dreadful with the Giants, and he lost his starting job. It's going to be Jameis Winston. Do you think it's just over for Russell?
I do think it's over, yes. I mean, as far as the days of the starting quarterback, yeah, it's over. I know we've talked about it a little before. hey, the year before in Denver with Sean Payton, that was alarming, even the year before Pittsburgh, I'm saying there, just because, I mean, Sean Payton, we knows how to orchestrate an offense and all that. And, I would sit there and watch the film and go, man, there's people open everywhere. What is Russell Wilson doing? What's he looking at? Then, I'd watch the next week and go, wow, they got simpler. Yeah, well, I guess so, because Russell Wilson doesn't throw the ball on any of these routes. So now they're doing nothing on offense, right? There was the whole thing about Sean Payton making comments about, I want him to wear a wristband because we can't even get in and out of the huddle and everything that way. So he was never great within the pocket, like I think I've told you in the past. Even in Seattle, he was of course phenomenal there for years, but played a style of football that, yes, was conducive to him, and because of his great athletic ability, he could hide some of the deficiencies he had within the pocket. Now he doesn't have that athletic ability. He has to play in the pocket, and his throwing is just not elite level. His decision-making is not elite level. His variety of throws he has in his club or in his, bag of clubs is not elite level, and he watches the rush too much. And those would be, those are big things and hard to really be successful at that position when you play it that way.
All right, so starting for the Giants on Sunday against the Packers will be Winston. And I guess this is a broad question. Why is he, a possible 6-touchdown guy on one game and 6 interceptions on another? What's missing in his toolbox?
A brake pad, a governor, whatever you want to talk about. That's what it is. I mean, we've seen only one guy really be able to contain him his whole career as far as making him not, do some of the crazy stuff. And that was Sean Payton. And again, back to coach messaging, right? You go back to Jameis Winston that year because Sean Payton was on him every day. You throw one of those dumb interceptions or those dumb decisions, you're going to be out of here. You're going to play the way I want you to play or you're out of here. Yeah, you got some talent. We know that. But you're not going to ruin the game and we're going to lose because you decided to be Johnny Gunslinger and throw the ball into triple coverage, right? And that's kind of been his kryptonite throughout his career. He can have a game, like you said, where you go, man, he looks like he's one of the 6, 7 best quarterbacks in football. But then the next week, go out and play and just be way too aggressive, trying to make too many big plays. And, of course, it's Lord deliver me from the pick sixes and all that as well, right? I think he's a little better than he used to be. But, again, it's still something that came about a lot last year in Cleveland towards the end, and I hope it doesn't come out this weekend.
Talking with NBC's Chris Sims here on the Michael K. Show. I'm of the opinion that when Dart is healthy and, over the concussion, that he plays. We've had a lot of people say, you know what, they should just put him on the shelf the rest of the year and wait for the new coach. I don't think that helps him at all. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm always in favor of playing. I'm that way. Right, if the concussion's so severe and it takes a while here for him to get better, and by all due accounts, he's probably had a concussion already this year, right, somewhere down the line. Like, if it takes a while to get over this, and they're like, we're in next week still, and it's like, whoa, concussion protocol still? All right, then maybe I would think about it. But all in all, no. I mean, you know this, right? You've talked to enough quarterbacks, ex-quarterbacks, people in the NFL. Playing quarterback it's you can't just practice it. You're not going to get better by, I was great in OTAs and training camp. It's just not the same. The pressure, right, the intensity of the moment of being on the football field, and as I always say, when it becomes real and it's like, they could actually rip my head off now in the pocket, it changes your process of thinking and everything compared to practice. And, yes, I would like to see him play and continue to grow and just continue to stay on his butt about protecting his body more.
Chris, you literally grew up around the New York Giants with your dad. Why do you think they've gotten it so wrong 4 times in a row when it came to a coach? Well, what's going on there?
I wish I had answers for you. I think that they've taken the bait and cheese maybe a few times since Tom Coughlin's era was over, right, where – Ben McAdoo, let's get him in here. And you can go back to my Bleacher Report days on my podcast. I was going, what? Ben McAdoo? Why? Because Aaron Rodgers' numbers are good? Aaron Rodgers at that time was an unstoppable one-man show. I used to watch offense for the Packers and go, this offense stinks. If they didn't have Aaron Rodgers, oh my God! I mean, he's doing 7 cartwheels and 8 flips every play, and then throwing 9, then throwing a 90-yard bomb. I mean, so that was misguided because the quarterback and the stats were good, right? Pat Shurmur, kind of felt like it was the same way. We just fell into like, ooh, he's an offensive guy. We got to get an offensive guy. And then we fell into what I feel like is, let's call Bill Belichick and let's let him tell us what we think we should do. Mm-hmm. Oh, Joe Judge? Oh, okay. What? Oh, Brian Daboll or Brian Flores? I'm not sure which one you mean because Bill just woke up from a nap and he's texting us right now. So, yeah, it's been bad decisions, bad GM hires. Gettleman didn't work out well. I don't know if I can point to one thing, but, yeah, there hasn't been that one guy like a Coughlin, a Belichick, a Parcells, or whatever that can get the organization back on track the right way. That's where last year I would have been like, let's end it all. Mike Vrabel's out there. Let's go all in for a Mike Vrabel or somebody like that who's Bill Parcells Jr. in my mind, but they wanted to run it back one more time, and we see the results weren't that great.
All right, so Chris, would it be ill-advised of the Giants to place a call to North Carolina and ask Bill Belichick if he's interested?
I wouldn't want it. I mean, I'm one that'll tell you that I think Bill Belichick's the greatest coach in the history of football. But everybody's time comes to an end, and yeah, I don't feel it for Bill right now. The way it ended in New England, some of the decisions that were made there, the lack of developing players, right? I think people on his staff up in New England, they realize it. Like there was definitely a group of people that were like, yeah, I'm done following Bill. No matter where he goes, that's over, right? So yeah, I think the game's passed him by. He's at a point of his career here where I just don't feel like he's adjusted, and I would want no part of it. Now, where I would say to you, Michael, right, I do think there's a part of me that looks at the Giants and goes, yeah, do we need a coach that maybe's been there and done that? I think we've tried enough of the first time, we think this guy will be good because he was a good coordinator thing. There's no Ben Johnson out there this year. There's nobody like Liam Cohn. So there's no like slam dunk guy that, at least last year I was like, man, Ben Johnson's going to be a good head coach. I don't even have to worry about that. There's nobody out there that I could say that, especially on the offensive side of the ball, right? So is it a Steve Spagnuolo? Can he do something like that? What happens? Let's wait and see what happens in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I would not be shocked if Pittsburgh falls apart at the end of the year, if Mike Tomlin and all that come to an end finally. I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore got in the playoffs and didn't make a deep run if John Harbaugh came to an end. So let's kind of wait and see it out here. But, yeah, I guess I tend to think about let's get a guy that's been there and done that to just get us back on the right track a little bit.
I think that one of the mistakes that might be happening is you're letting Joe Shane run point on this, and then Ian O'Connor in The Athletic said there's no guarantee that they're keeping Joe Shane. So, I mean, what kind of coach worth his weight is going to say, yeah, I'm going to sign over, and I don't even know who's going to be the GM.
Right. Well, I think it could be a positive and a negative, right, where, I mean, most of these coaches, when they know they're in position to maybe get the head coaching spot, right, they have a GM or somebody that they've had a relationship with a while where they go, we see the game the right way. We see it very similar. I think if we're together, we can do something special, right? So I think a lot of coaches will like, I get to bring in my guy and we could be a team and work this thing out, all right? But no GM at all, yeah, I mean, again, I think that a head coach would rather come in the door with somebody new along with them. I think what happens is if you get a coach who, let's say, is in high demand and he's got a few options, and one of his options is, wait, I can go somewhere and I have my GM, or I go somewhere else where, wait, it was somebody else's GM. He's got a little different vision of what he thinks the football team is. Oh, and he obviously has the owner's ear where, like, if I do bad, he's going to be in the owner's ear like, hey, look, I'm doing pretty good. It's the coach's problem. Right? Head coaches don't love that scenario, and that's where it's a little dicey for the Giants.
And I think that's what happened, Chris, with the Giants. I mean, when you're the GM, you're at the elbow of the owner during games. The coach doesn't have that kind of audience with the owner, and I think that's what cost Brian Daboll his job and why Joe Shane's still standing.
I don't disagree with you there, and again, Joe Shane's done some good things. There is a good little young nucleus of this football team. I mean, we got to make sure we know. Jackson Dart was Brian Daboll's pick, not Joe Shane. That's a fact, right, Jack? Now, there's been some good. There's no doubt. There's been some misses, too. But I do think the Giants with having a quarterback, right, with the Malik Neighbors healthy, the Theo Johnson kid at tight end, got a franchise left tackle, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, maybe still Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence. I think a coach, that is available to be had out there, he'll look at the Giants and go, there's worse scenarios. That GM thing's a little shaky, but, man, the team itself is not that far off from being a team that can be a pain in the butt and be in the playoff conversation.
Chris Sims, our guest here on the Michael K. Show. He joins us every week at this time. All right, so we have the Patriots and the Jets tonight. Do you love Drake May as much as everybody seems like they love Drake May?
Yeah, I like Drake May a whole lot, right? I mean, yeah, he's in the MVP conversation. I mean, he's exceeded my expectations. I mean, if me and you went back and watched college film together, you'd go, damn, I didn't realize the ball was all over the place with Drake May. So I had, some doubts about how good he could be. But he's fixed his mechanical issues, and the biggest thing is, come on, he's with two geniuses up there. He's got Vrabel, who's as good as anybody in football as a head coach and knows how to manage a game. And you could say what you want about Josh McDaniels as a head coach. Sure, I get that. But as an offensive coordinator and a game plan builder and all that, he's as good as it gets in football over the last 25 years. So that's where he's got a great advantage. They got better talent. They are running an offense where it's not like all the training wheels are off Drake May, right? It's not like the Tom Brady, I'm just going to let you get in the shotgun and just be surgical with Wes Welker and Amendola and Edelman and Grung, and we're just going to put it on your shoulders. They're kind of playing a style like the early 2000 Patriots. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play defense. We're going to play some play-action passes. The quarterback's going to throw it about 23, 24 times a game. But like the early days of Brady, when he drops back to throw it, we're looking for 20 and 25-yard completions. And that's where he's really dangerous because he's a phenomenal down-the-field thrower. He's fearless in the pocket. And like when I watched the film last week against the Buccaneers, they're spying him, right? He's done enough off schedule and scrambling now to where teams are like, oh, third down, we got to watch out for him. So, yeah, I'm buying into it. But Matthew Stafford would be my MVP right now. And then it's Jonathan Taylor and Drake May and those guys there.
All right, so the Jets are 13-point underdogs. How are you looking at this game? Who are you picking in this one?
Well, I'm definitely picking the Patriots. I mean, have you seen the Jets' offense lately?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, neither have I. I haven't seen it either. Right, so, I can't pick the Jets, of course. The Jets, to win the game, to stay close, they're going to have to hope Drake May does something stupid or somebody on the Patriots does something stupid to create turnovers, short field, whatever it may be. But, listen, the Patriots are one of the best teams in the AFC. There's no denying that. There's really not a big weakness with their football team. Their defense is really good and I think only getting better. And same with the offense. You see, they could be surgical, right, and go on long drives. Or last week they had 4 touchdown plays that almost totaled 200 yards with 2 young rookies and Kyle Williams and Travion Henderson. So I'm taking the Patriots 27-10. I just can't. The Jets defense, I respect it. It's the offense that I just, don't have a lot of respect for.
Giants are playing the Packers on Sunday. The Packers just had a terrible, terrible game against the Eagles. Is LaFleur in trouble?
Yeah.
What do you think's going wrong in Green Bay?
Right. I don't think LaFleur's in trouble. And, the Packers have Super Bowl talent on their football team. They're not playing to that capability, right? It's a little like the Eagles have the same thing. Now, that game the other night reminded me of like almost the old Giants 49ers 1990 10-7 game, right? Because there's more specimens and freaks of nature on the field than I think people really realize. And Green Bay's got that type of guys. Their defense is a Super Bowl defense. I don't think I'm telling you anything new there. The problem is the offense. They have not run the ball as dominant or consistent as we've seen in years past. And, you watch this week, they have no intermediate and short passing game. And it's just too hard to think you're going to drop back and get a 25, 30-yard completion every time you drop back in football, especially against good defenses like the Philadelphia Eagles. But that, to me, is the issue with their team, right? If they don't make a big play, the drive doesn't happen, right? If they do make a big play, okay, they might get a field goal to do any of that. But as far as I keep going to the word, what I always say, surgicality, right, being able to pick apart a defense, 8 yards here, 6 yards here, 5 yards there, they don't have that in their pass offense right now. And Jordan Love's not the best and most accurate in that department there. And that, to me, is the thing that's really holding them back.
Am I crazy to think the Giants have a chance on Sunday? I keep leaning toward the Giants.
Well, the Giants, as we know, can make plays. Mm-hmm. The Jameis Winston thing's scary because, like you talked about earlier, he's going to drop back and go, oh, wait, it's one-on-one. I like this. I'm going to fire it, right? And that could end up being big things there. The big thing will just be that matchup of the Giants defense versus the Packers offense. If they can kind of just hang around a little bit and not let the Packers go off, right, on that side of the ball, I think the Giants have enough to hang in there and make a few plays against this Packers defense. But the other thing I just think we got to take into account is just what's the psychology and the emotions in the building this week with the Giants, right? That's the thing I look at. I don't expect us to get a new coach bump without our starting quarterback there. I think it's going to be the opposite, Michael. I think the Giants are going to kind of be like, man, this is a disaster, and I don't expect them to put their best foot forward on Sunday.
Yeah, awful. What a terrible season at 2-8, and it could be getting worse. Anyway, tell us about your podcasts, Chris.
Well, Chris Sims Unbuttoned. You can find me 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I do it on YouTube Live on Monday at 10 a.m., Tuesday at 2 p.m., break down football. We get into the weeds about, teams and matchups and everything there. So anywhere you find a podcast, you can find Chris Sims Unbuttoned.
Excellent. Chris, thank you. As always, love talking with you.
All right, Michael, you're the man. Me too. See you, buddy. Have a good weekend.
You too. Be well. That is Chris Sims. You could see him on Sunday Night Football, the pregame, halftime, and all of that they put together on NBC around the game. And he does a great job. He's a great television talent. He really, really is, and gives us such good info on the radio every Thursday. All right, now it's time for you. I've been talking a lot. We've had 2 great guests, and now the co-host joins me. And the co-host, as you know, is you. And you know the number to apply for the job. It's 1-800-919-3776. Still so much more to do. We'll lead you to 3 o'clock. Now, you could be listening right here, by the way, on ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app. You know that. And you could also watch us on the ESPN New York YouTube channel. So just go to the app. That's all you have to do. And click on the tile for the YouTube channel. Subscribe, which is free, which is a great word. And then you can watch us. All the shows. Outstanding. Again, 1-800-919-3776. All right, you know my name. I'm Michael Kay, and I want to talk to you about my friends at PC Richard & Son. They're local, they're family-owned, and I trust them. I really do, and you can too. Right now, get Black Friday deals throughout the store. And with their holiday price guarantee, check this out, your price is protected. If the price goes lower from now through December 24th, you know what? They're going to match it. You can't beat that, right? I mean, what more guarantee do you need? Plus, you get fast and free delivery. PC Richard & Son, the company you can trust for over 116 years. Free delivery excludes Manhattan.
One in every 6 men is likely to be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. That's why New York Presbyterian wants to remind men over 50 to book a prostate cancer screening. A simple blood test is all it takes. It could save your life. Screenings are available across New York City and Westchester at locations near you. Schedule your annual prostate cancer screening today at nyp.org/cancer screening. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
Hey, bro, weirdest thing is happening at the game. This guy sitting next to me says, "You're our good luck charm." Every time I crack a Bud Light, we score a touchdown. Now his entire family wants to buy me Bud Lights. I think I'm some kind of a football prophet. Talk soon. The team needs me.
Anything for Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stock up today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
John Ryan.
Yeah, Dad.
I think I came up with a killer slogan for our law firm. D'Agostino and Associates, bite back.
Bite back?
Yeah. When someone hurts you, you bite back. We'll be the law firm that bites back.
Dad, that's brilliant. Accident victims, call D'Agostino and Associates and bite back. Hey, we could even put a big vicious dog on billboards everywhere.
Yeah, and Rottweilers on buses.
Hey, how about a toll-free number?
What are you thinking?
You know, like 1-800-BITE-BACK.
1-800-BITE-BACK. That's brilliant.
But what if people hear fight back?
Easy. I'll spell it out for them like 1-800-BITE. Back. 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222.
Love it. Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
All this talk about biting back got me hungry.
Me too. Want to grab lunch?
Sure. Hey, how about a jingle?
You mean like D'Agostino, Law, Bite Back?
Rich Eisen here. As you all know, I care deeply about pediatric cancer research and awareness. That's why I'm proud to talk about Hyundai Hope on Wheels. For over 27 years, every Hyundai sold has helped fund life-saving pediatric cancer research. Together with over 850 dealers nationwide, they've raised more than $277 million, supporting over 25,000 kids in their fight against cancer. At Hyundai, hope isn't optional. It comes standard. Visit HyundaiUSA.com and search Hyundai Hope on Wheels to learn more.
At AT&T, we guarantee our network so you can talk college football with your BFF while taking Buster to the vet.
Hey, yeah, I can't believe he ate the whole thing of chicken wings.
And I can't believe we're staging a comeback. Touchdown!
Yes!
Yes!
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, you'll automatically get a bill credit for a full day's service. For wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers, must be connected to impacted tower at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. 1-800-919-3776. I do want to tell you, full transparency, that I will not be doing the show tomorrow. Kind of a family issue that nobody's health or anything like that, thank God, but have to deal with something. So I will not be able to do the show. So at the end of this show, just out of an abundance of respect to the people that depend on such things, I will give you my 2-pack for sure. I'll give you my 2 picks. Because what would Friday be without a 2-pack for sure? So I'm going to do it on Thursday rather than hand it over to Jake Asman, who's going to be filling in for me tomorrow. But I'll be back again Monday. And again, an issue that has to be taken care of. Family-wise, nothing negative at all. Nothing. Not trying to be dramatic, but just wanted to give you my full transparency because we're in this together. I mean, if you're going to be the co-host, you have to know if I'm not going to be here, and I will not be here tomorrow from 1 to 3. Let's go to the phones and see what you have to say. We'll go to Ira in Staten Island. Ira.
Hey, Michael. Hope everything's all right tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you.
First of all, before I get to the game real quick, Cimini definitely did not deserve what happened the other day. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm just confused with Mr. Glenn. I really am, Ira. I'm sure you are as well.
I'm totally confused, and just you can't disrespect somebody like that, 37 years on the beat. But anyway, getting to the game tonight, I would be pleasantly surprised if this is a competitive game in the fourth quarter or even the second half. I mean, I think the only way the Jets could possibly stay in this game is if the Pats come in here and they're not prepared. They're looking just like the Bills did with the Dolphins last weekend. But I think Daboll's too good of a coach for that to happen. So I think this could be a very difficult evening for the Jets. And I'm not sure how they're going to score points. I mean, how many times is Breece Hall going to go off like he did the last 2 games against 2 of the worst defenses in the league? My prediction is Hall carries the ball for under 3 yards a carry tonight because I just don't see Daboll letting him run the ball.
You know, I feel the same way, Ira. And, just looking inside the numbers, New England is really good at stopping the run. So they give up 79.2 yards per game on the ground. So how are the Jets going to score? Because you have a quarterback that can't throw the ball downfield, won't throw the ball downfield. They don't allow him to. So how are they going to score? That's what I don't get. And they have Travion Henderson, who had 147 yards in the last game against Tampa Bay. And the Jets are 25th in the league against rush. So it just doesn't line up. I know they're riding high with the 2 games in a row, and they're the champion of Ohio because they beat the Bengals and the Browns. But the Bengals and the Browns are awful. So I'm not hanging my hat or hanging on the rim about that. This is a real team. The Patriots have won 7 in a row. So I don't know how they're going to do it. They're 13-point underdogs for a reason. I hope it's a good game. I just don't know how they're going to do it. Let's go to the U in Corona. The U, what's up?
Mr. K, it's a pleasure to speak to you, sir.
Thanks for calling,
Thank
my
you
friend.
for having me on.
You got it.
Earlier, you said something that it really disrespected me. With all due respect, before I got married, I wanted to marry Mrs. Jody Applegate, not Jennifer Anderson.
Wow.
What you said about Peter.
High
Peter
praise.
Alonso. And I believe a lot of men felt that way.
Well, I'm the lucky one.
As far as Pete Alonso goes, again, I believe that that's the problem with sports. And again, I'm just an average sports fan, like my teams. I'm a Met fan since 1986. Obviously, I was a kid. The problem is, Pete Alonso brings more to the team than just stats, I believe. I think that, you need to build a core the same way that your Yankees built a core for, when in 1996 and 94. And that's all I want to say. I just feel like Pete Alonso is good for the city. I think that you're right. I think that he handles the New York City spotlight well, and he played well last year. It wasn't like he played terrible. He played. The point of him staying on was to prove himself, and I believe that he did.
No, I think he did too. I think it's a really tough decision for the Mets. You cannot ignore your fan base, and the Met fans love Pete Alonso, but I don't think that you could responsibly give Pete Alonso a 7-year contract. Again, that's what we hear that he's looking for. Now, you can look for anything. You can ask for anything. I want to see the team that's going to give a 31-year-old first baseman, and first basemen are not valued as highly as other positions. I want to see the team that gives a 31-year-old first baseman a 7-year contract. When Josh Naylor is out there, and if something jumped out at you during the postseason, Josh Naylor is nails. He can play. I know Yankee fans hate him because he acted like a jerk after the home run against Garrett Cole. That guy can play. He's clutch. He's better in the field than Pete Alonso. Actually steals bases at a pretty good clip despite not being fleet of foot. That's a first baseman that's out there too. So I'm not saying the Mets should pivot to him. I think the Mets are going to try to get younger and more athletic. But if the Mets give Pete Alonso a 7-year deal, and then they still have Brandon Nimmo for 5 more, and they have Lindor, I think it's for 8 more, and then you have 14 more for Soto, you're burying yourself. You really are, because with Pete Alonso last year, they did not make the playoffs. Now, it wasn't his fault, but at some point you've got to reimagine the team. And although you have to respect your fan base, you can't make decisions by the fans loving somebody. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions. You know what the fans are going to love? If you make the playoffs and win a World Series. That's what the fans are going to love. They'll get over anything that affects, a player that they really admire like Pete. If you let him go and they get a team and they put together a team that makes the playoffs and goes far, it'll be forgotten. It really will. I once had an executive tell me, I was negotiating a contract, and he said, if we don't come to an agreement and we lose you, we're going to get hit with a lot of negativity. It's going to be awful, and we know it's going to be awful. So then, as he's saying this, I said, well, leverage is shifting my way. And then he gave me a sobering, eye-opening comment. He said, that negativity will last 2 or maybe 3 weeks, and then it'll be over. All we have to do is navigate those 2 or 3 weeks, and it'll be over. And they'll be on to the next outrage. And he's absolutely right. And I didn't get insulted. I actually respected him for saying that. He admitted, okay, people like you, and if you left us, it would suck, and we'd get a lot of pushback. But 2-3 weeks would be done. Same thing with Pete Alonso. The Met fans would be really upset if Alonso ends up signing with the Red Sox, and it'll be over. They'll get over it. They're not going to boycott the team. They love their team. They love their team. Let's go to Eric in the car.
Yeah, hello.
Hello,
hey,
Eric.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Okay. I have a story about Chris Sims because he was just on. I met him when he was a young kid. I was at the Super Bowl party after in Arizona after Dallas creamed the Bills, and Phil Sims was sitting there at the party with Mike Ditka taking questions, and he was the nicest guy in the world. Then he said, it's about 20 minutes, and I got to go up because my kids are probably tearing apart the hotel room. So the next morning, I ran into Phil in the airport. We were flying back to L.A., and Phil was sitting and talking to me and so forth. And all of a sudden, he hears a voice screaming, Phil, Phil. And Phil, who was the classiest guy in the world, was talking, and all of a sudden, it looked like a white ghost. And I wish I could fall into your briefcase. It was Al Davis. So he sat down in the front. So Phil was in the first row, and I was in the second row, and his kids were right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And his kids were acting like, Chris in particular, acting like two little, impetuous little kids, giving them the evil eye. And Phil was trying to be classy and so forth, and trying to get the kids to quiet down. It was very funny. But Phil was like ultimate class.
No, you know what? And so is Chris. I'll let you in on a little insight. Chris Sims comes on as a weekly. Every Thursday at 2. He didn't get paid a dime. He does it because he likes the show. He respects me. I think he's so good. I've had people actually reach out to me that aren't even football fans, and they say they tune in every Thursday at 2 to hear this guy. He's brutally honest, and it's not just hot takes. He does his homework. He's watching film, and he shares that knowledge every single Thursday here. Doesn't get a dime. I'm telling you, he doesn't get a dime. He does it on his own. Same thing with Steve Young, because we have a relationship. Doesn't get a dime. And I think those guys are really, really special to do stuff like that. They really are. Let's go to John in Wallingford. John.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for taking my phone call.
You got it.
My question is regarding Fernando Tatis. There's rumors that the Padres are going to be trading him. Do you think he's a good fit for the Yankees and for left field? And do you think who do you think they would have to give up for him?
Let me tell you something. You spooked me out, John. I'm going to tell you, because I was thinking about this the other day, because I saw that same thing that you saw, that the Padres are in financial trouble. And Tatis is signed to this long-term deal. And I said to myself, that's a guy the Yankees should try and get. I know he's had the problems. He had the suspension for PEDs. But since coming back from that, he's still put up great, great years. He's an unbelievable talent. That's something that I would take a chance on. I would. Now, the Yankees are one of the few teams that could actually absorb the contract that he has. And at the time, it seemed outrageous, but what people are getting now, a talent like Fernando Tatis Jr., it's not outrageous. So, yeah, I would give up any number of young prospects to get him. I would. That's how good this guy is. That's how electric he is. You want to electrify your fan base? You bring in a guy, a showman like that. If he's not on your team, you really don't like him. He gets under your skin. I'll admit it. You watch him say, oh. But if he's playing for you, and if you're a Yankee and he's in pinstripes, that guy would be an absolute star in New York. A star. He would do things here. His level of talent is so off the charts. Yeah, I would give up a lot of young talent from my system to get Fernando Tatis. You know what he's going to make over the next 10 years. He signed for that long, and it's not as outrageous as it was when he signed it. I mean, you look at the money that Vlad Guerrero's getting. You look at the money that Juan Soto's getting. You're going to look at the money that Kyle Tucker's getting. That's a guy. If you miss out on Bellinger, that's the first phone call that Brian Cashman should make to A.J. Preller. I want that guy. I know you're trying to get rid of salary. That's the way they got Soto. But Soto was only a 1-year deal. This guy is a 10-year deal. You'd have him for 10 years. So you could give up a great amount of talent, and it wouldn't seem lopsided because this guy's so good. That intrigues me. John, thank you for calling up, because I was going to talk about it, and it slipped my mind for the last couple of days. That's somebody the Yankees should consider. That's something any team should consider. He's a phenomenal outfielder. He can run the bases, great hitter. And I think that under Aaron Boone, he'd be great. He'd be great. So, yeah, I think the Yankees should look at that. They should look at that seriously. Absolutely. All right, 1-800-919-3776. We'll come back with my 2 picks for the weekend because I'll be off tomorrow. More of your phone calls as well. We're going till 3 right here on the Michael K. Show, ESPN New York.
This is Bart and Carlin on ESPN New York.
This is problem number one for me. The fact that Shane was not fired as well and is not going to be fired at the end of the year.
I mean, who's that player outside of neighbors that we like, whoa, man, look at this talent that he brought in.
When I look at the failures of the Giants over the last 3 years, 11-33. 11-33.
Yeah.
The coach is absolutely responsible, and boy, the GM is very much responsible.
Bart Scott, Chris Carlin, weekdays at 10 a.m. on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
To help those who want to be helped, but may not be able to afford it.
That's what PGA Tour winner Grayson Murray had envisioned for a foundation before he sadly took his own life at just 30 years old. His parents channeled their grief into creating the Grayson Murray Foundation, carrying out his vision to help those struggling with mental health and addiction. To donate and learn more, visit GraysonMurrayFoundation.com.
Join one of the nation's top sports betting analysts, Joe Wiz, as he breaks down all the games in football on the Fine Line. Saturday at 8 a.m. Oklahoma travels to Alabama and Texas takes on Georgia. Plus, hockey, NBA, and UFC from the Garden. The Wiz has you covered. Sunday in the NFL, huge matchups as Tampa takes on Buffalo and Kansas City faces a must-win in Denver. Follow the Wiz on Instagram at Joe Wiz Sports. It's the best bet in town. And tune into the Fine Line with the Wiz Saturday at 8 a.m. Be ready to win.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
This holiday season, Target has your back with irresistibly cool gifts for everyone on your list. For the trendsetter, start with affordable beauty kits and gift sets. Need something the whole fam will love? Grab snuggly matching fits in every size and style. And for the thrill seekers, don't forget the hottest toys and tech of the season. Target's got you covered with the best deals for endless fun. Shop in store or online. And step into the holidays with Target. Restrictions apply.
From the regular season to the Super Bowl, ESPN New York is your destination for football. We've got crazy fans.
If the Giants somehow beat the Cowboys, I'm going to take a dump on your head.
You can feel good because you're a damn football team.
Expert analysis.
Marcus Spears joins us now. ESPN NFL analyst Damian Woody.
Mel Kiper Jr.
The Hall of Famer Steve Young.
He's kind of our resident general manager, Louis Riddick.
We got Mike Tannenbaum right now.
And all your fantasy and wagering needs. This is ESPN New York. We are football.
The people in the business, and when I say the business, I mean the industry, are so sensitive to the point of like distraction. So Don Van Natta Jr., who works for ESPN and is so great at what he does, just filed an exclusive report that the NFL filed a grievance against the NFLPA to get them to stop their report cards. Now, you know those report cards. Those are the ones where they say, oh, it's the best facility, the best travel, the best training staff, the worst owner. And one of the guys that's behind this is Woody Johnson. Because Woody Johnson always finishes either last or close to last. At the league meetings in March, Woody Johnson called the survey totally bogus and hinted that it's violated the CBA. He took issue with how they collected the information, who they collected it from. And so in this report, Van Natta says one owner told ESPN that, quote, the only owners who don't care for the report cards are the ones who get the subpar grades. So rather than look within and say, well, this is why I'm not getting the love, and try to change it, you want the report cards to stop. Now, I don't know if it violates the CBA. To me, it doesn't seem like it would violate the CBA. But if I'm in the NFLPA, I give them a big middle finger. You don't like it? Then change. We're going to put these report cards out. Too bad. Because it illuminates other players that might be considering playing for a team. Well, these report cards tell you don't play here. This team has a bad training staff. This team has bad food. This team has a bad stadium. This team has a bad locker room. I mean, it illuminates the other players to what's going on. Woody, why don't you look within and say, this is why they don't like me? I mean, there was a story out that an ex-player said that he'd been hurt, and Woody Johnson walked by him at the facility and didn't say, how you doing? He said, well, are you ever going to play again? Ever going to play or not? And then we saw what Woody Johnson did throwing Justin Fields under the bus. That's why you get bad grades, Woody. So don't stop the grading. Make yourself better. Look within. Read what they say and say, I'm going to get better at that. You took away the food trucks that were there one day a week. And then when Aaron Rodgers stepped up and he said he would continue to pay for the food trucks to be there in Florham Park, you took issue with that. You thought it made you look bad. It did make you look bad. It did make you look bad. This is a player's endeavor now, sports. The good organizations cater to the players. Now, I'm not saying that you bend over backwards and let them do everything, but you got to make their lives easy. That's why the Mets invested millions of dollars to build a state-of-the-art family room so that the kids are engaged during the game, young kids that might be bored sitting there, in the stands for 3 hours. That's what teams do. Teams embrace the families and stuff like that. They make it easy on the players to feel good about their job and feel good about their workplace. So the NFL is trying to get the NFLPA to stop the report cards. Laughable. Laughable. Rather than correct what you think or what they say is wrong with you, you just want to stop the message. Seems a little draconian, doesn't it? Thou doth protest too much, don't you think? Wow. I got time to give you my 2-pack for sure. I had a bad week last week. I was 0-2. I'm embarrassed, and I apologize. I feel hurt that I gave that to you. But I blame the teams I picked. I don't blame myself. So I'm going to start tonight, and I'm glad that I'm making the 2-packs today because I get to include the Thursday game. Patriots have a 7-game winning streak. 13-point favorite over the Jets. I think if it's not a blowout, I don't know what's going on. Patriots stop the run. That's the only way the Jets could actually move the football. They don't have a quarterback that could throw. And they don't let him throw. They have a pretty good running game, and the Jets are 25th in stopping the run. Jets are flying high now. They feel good about themselves. They won 2 straight. 2 straight against the dregs of the league. And they didn't play great in those games. I mean, they beat the Browns because the Browns beat the Browns, not the Jets. Jets are awful. Their offense was laughable. The quarterback, if you take away the Breece Hall run, had 12 yards passing. 12 yards passing. So, give me the Patriots. I'm giving 13 points. Speaking of the Browns, they're playing the Ravens on Sunday. It's in Cleveland. 7.5 points. Ravens are favorites. Ravens look like they're becoming the Ravens again. They're getting healthy. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. This line scares me because I think it should be so much more. Give me the Browns. Give me the Ravens. I'm sorry. I'm going to give the 7.5. So my 2-pack for sure. Patriots giving 13 to the Jets. That's in Foxborough. And the Ravens giving 7.5 to the Browns. And that is in Cleveland. 1-800-919-3776. Anthony, Tom's River. What's up, Ant?
Hi, Michael. How are you? Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making it, man.
Great show. Anyway, real quick, the Aaron Glenn situation. I'm not a Jet fan. I'm a football fan, a Giant fan. But anyway, my personal opinion is I think he lacks the intellect to manage a football game. Bad decision making, doesn't know how to use timeouts when they're necessary. And I understand, like Parcells started out bad, Belichick started out bad, but they always had the intellect and the leadership. Aaron Glenn, my personal opinion, is not smart enough to be the head football coach of the Jets. I just really believe that. And it starts from the top down. I get it, and you're right. He's not going anywhere. So that's just my take on Aaron Glenn. And the Jets lost 6 games in a row, and the 2 games they won. You're right, because the other teams beat themselves. And one other quick thing, you're talking about. I saw this thing online the other night about the Dodgers becoming the team of the century. I just want your personal opinion. Do you think they could have beat the '98 Yankees?
No.
In a 7-game series?
No way,
right?
I don't. I think that Yankee team was just unbelievable. The Dodgers are great, but no, I don't. I've never seen a team that's better than the '98 Yankees. Now, I didn't think it happened in a short series, but I take the '98 Yankees. Also, I feel uncomfortable saying Aaron Glenn's not smart enough to coach. I mean, he's coached 9 games. There's a learning curve for a young man and a young coach. And when you hire a coach with no previous head coaching experience, well, you're going to have to deal with the growing pains, and the Jets are. So, no, I'm not writing him off for that. I don't like the way he does his business right now, especially with the media. And the team is becoming more disciplined than it was earlier in the year. I think we don't make this judgment for a while. You can't make that judgment after 9 games. I won't do it. I don't think it's fair. All right, Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg coming up in just a moment. As I told you, I'm off tomorrow. I'll be back on Monday at 1, but please tune in tomorrow. Jake Asman will be filling in for me. Nothing's going on, just dealing with something at home in the home front, but all good. No health, no negativity, nothing like that, but something I have to take care of. Thank you for spending 8 hours with me this week. 2 more with Jake tomorrow. Then I'm back again on Monday. We'll talk about the MVP. We'll talk about the Jets, talk about the Giants. We'll talk about everything. We'll talk about life. In the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See everybody have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Thursday with Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. How concerning is Jalen Brunson's injury?
I think he turned his right ankle. Yeah, he turned his right ankle, but that's all I know.